Imagine that inside you there's an invisible architect. He doesn't rest, doesn't question, and doesn't improvise. Day after day, he keeps building your life from old blueprints, emotional patterns, beliefs, and memories you might swear you've already outgrown. But like any architect loyal to the original plan, he doesn't create anything new. He simply replicates what he knows. That's why, even after changing cities, jobs, or relationships, you might feel like you're living the same story with different characters. Bruce Lipton reminds us that emotional memories are not just psychological recollections. They shape biological patterns, alter the chemistry of your cells, and define the electromagnetic signature your body transmits to the quantum field. This means that until those memories are reprogrammed, your body keeps signing the same vibrational contract with reality, no matter what your conscious mind may want. Neville Goddard adds that the external world is nothing more than the inevitable reflection of the inner states you cultivate. Your imagination, combined with emotion, plants seeds in the invisible field, and sooner or later, those seeds bloom. The problem is, if your subconscious is still nurturing seeds of fear, guilt, or scarcity, that's exactly what will sprout, even if consciously you want something else. And here's the part few will admit. What you believe you've already overcome could, right now, be draining your vital energy, distorting your vibrational field, and quietly sabotaging the life you're trying to build. This isn't about digging up traumas just to understand them. It's about recognizing where your invisible architect is still following old blueprints and how you can hand him an entirely new design. Your subconscious works like an extremely meticulous accountant. It forgets nothing. Every pain you never fully processed, every resentment you swallowed to avoid conflict, every moment you felt rejected or humiliated, all of it was recorded as a kind of emotional debt. And here's the thing, this accounting isn't done in words, but in vibrations. They are specific emotional frequencies still being broadcast by your body, even when you think you've already moved on. This emotional debt isn't locked away in some isolated vault. It seeps into your present. It's like software running in the background, draining system energy and slowing everything down. You might be trying to create something new, start a project, or enter a new relationship, but if the vibrational balance is still negative, if there's still unresolved pain in your field, the subconscious will project that energy into whatever you're living now. The most striking part is that the subconscious doesn't work against you out of malice. In fact, it believes it's protecting you. It keeps these emotional debts active to prevent you from getting hurt again. But in doing so, it traps you in the same situations, repeating patterns to prove that the world works a certain way. It's as if it were saying, "See, I was right to keep you safe." Until this inner accounting is cleared, not with intellectual forgiveness, but with real emotional release, your quantum field will keep sending out signals that attract experiences aligned with the old debt. Which means that before you can truly claim something new, you must settle the balance with the past. Only then will the invisible architect get the green light to build a different reality. When something intense happens in your life, especially something painful, your nervous system creates such a deep record that it becomes a reference pattern. It's as if, in a moment of great impact, life took an emotional snapshot, and that image became the template used to interpret future situations. The problem is that the subconscious doesn't distinguish between past and present. It only knows sensation. So when something even remotely similar to that experience happens, even in a subtle way, it automatically triggers the same old emotional state. And that's when the echo is born. A nearly invisible but powerful repetition that recreates circumstances similar to the past in an attempt to close the cycle and perhaps heal the wound. But many times this doesn't lead to healing. On the contrary, it reinforces the pain. Because without awareness, you live the echo as if it were something new, not realizing you're simply reliving the same story with different characters and settings. You think you're making new choices, but you're responding to the same vibrational call that began years ago. This is why so many patterns seem to follow us. Relationships with the same dynamics, recurring professional frustrations, crises that arise at the same point in the journey. It's not bad luck or destiny, it's echo. And until the original sound, the emotional memory, is acknowledged and transformed, the subconscious will keep sending waves that shape new stories from the same old frequency. An old wound never stays confined to the place where it began. If the injury was emotional, it doesn't just affect feelings, it seeps into other areas of your life, like water leaking through invisible cracks. A heartbreak can silently reprogram the way you deal with money, creativity, or even your physical health. This happens because the frequency generated by an unresolved emotion becomes part of your base field. And the base field is the backdrop upon which all other experiences are projected. So if that backdrop is infused with insecurity, fear, or resentment, any new opportunity that arises will be filtered through that lens. The most insidious part is that these side effects are subtle. You might think your financial blocks come from poor management, or that your lack of energy is due to overwork. But often the root lies in that old hurt from years ago, still echoing in your nervous system and distorting your ability to receive, create, and trust. Releasing the trauma is not just about healing the specific emotion. It's about restoring harmony to the field as a whole. When that happens, areas that seem unrelated begin to realign. Like domino pieces that once freed, allow the entire pattern to shift in unexpected and rapid ways. Many people believe they have already forgiven simply because they think less about what happened. But mental forgiveness alone is like painting over a wall with water damage. Underneath, the moisture keeps building, eroding the structure. The mind can choose to move on, but the body holds precise records of every emotion that wasn't released. This is where many are mistaken, confusing the absence of thought with healing. You may not consciously remember the pain, but when a subtle trigger appears, a tone of voice, a glance, a similar setting, your nervous system reacts as if reliving everything again. This is proof that the energy of the event is still active in your field. True forgiveness is not just an intellectual decision, it's an emotional and biological reprogramming. It's when the body stops producing the chemistry associated with the trauma and returns to a neutral state in the face of the trigger. Only at this point does the quantum field begin to reflect a new reality, because the old frequency has finally been dissolved, not just covered up. The body doesn't lie. Even when the mind builds narratives to justify or minimize what happened, the body continues operating in defense mode. A single involuntary memory can speed up your heart, tense your shoulders, alter your breathing. It's as if your nervous system had its own memories, independent of the logic you try to apply. This automatic response is the result of emotional memories stored not only in the brain, but in every cell, as Bruce Lipton explains. The perception of threat alters the body's chemistry, creating a constant state of alert. So even if you tell yourself, it's all fine, your energy field still emits signals of tension, fear, or rejection. Observing these reactions without judgment is the first step in breaking the link. When you acknowledge the physical signal and don't try to repress it or distract yourself, you begin to weaken the cycle that keeps the memory alive. It's at this point that the body slowly learns it no longer needs to relive the past to feel safe. Unresolved emotional charges act like static in your energetic transmission. The quantum field is extremely sensitive to vibrational coherence, and when fragments of pain, fear, or resentment remain active, the frequency emitted by the heart becomes irregular. This static prevents clear signals from being sent and received, making it harder to manifest experiences aligned with what you truly desire. Joe Dispenza explains that the heart is not just a blood pump, but a powerful electromagnetic transmitter capable of influencing the surrounding field. When incoherent emotions occupy space, the transmission loses strength and direction. It's like trying to tune into a radio station while multiple frequencies interfere at once. The sound comes through distorted, confusing, impossible to understand. This interference is not only metaphysical, it affects practical decisions, behavioral patterns, and even your ability to notice opportunities. When the mind is busy defending old wounds, there's little energy left to create new possibilities. The body and field remain trapped in an internal dialogue that repeats the same narrative, attracting similar scenarios over time. The solution begins in inner silence. By creating moments of pause and presence, you reduce the noise and start transmitting a purer signal. This vibrational clarity is what allows the field to recognize your new identity and respond to it. It's not about forcing anything, but releasing what distorts your signal so it can transmit in full integrity again. When the frequency stabilizes, the field doesn't need to guess what you want. It simply responds naturally to the coherent state you sustain. That's when synchronicities increase. The right decisions become obvious, and opportunities seem to flow to you effortlessly. What was once an invisible block transforms into a bridge to the next level of your life, and you realize the power was always in the fine-tuning of your vibration. Integration is not about erasing the story or pretending nothing happened. It's about acknowledging that the event took place, while deciding it will no longer be the hidden commander of your reactions. It's like crossing a bridge between two worlds. On one side, the version of you that lives on high alert, trapped in the past. On the other, a state of presence where that memory no longer holds power over your energy field. The bridge of integration is not built with denial or escape, but with the willingness to feel, understand, and dissolve the charge that remained trapped. It's the moment when you look at the experience and say, I am no longer just this. I can take the lesson and leave the pain here. This act frees the body from the constant defense pattern, returning energy that had been tied up in survival. When you integrate, you don't just release an event. You release the vibrational signature it sustained in your field. This is where quantum physics meets emotional healing. By changing the frequency your heart and mind emit, the field reorganizes reality to reflect the new state. Life begins to respond to your updated self, rather than to the echo of who you once were. True gratitude is not a list of phrases repeated at the end of the day. It is a deep state that instantly shifts your chemistry and your vibrational field. When you can feel gratitude for something that hasn't happened yet, or, even more challenging, for something you once saw only as pain, you change the code the universe reads about you. In that instant, the frequency of lack is replaced by a frequency of wholeness. From a neurobiological perspective, feeling gratitude activates brain areas associated with reward and pleasure, releasing neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin. This not only improves your well-being, but also reprograms the body to recognize this state as normal. From that point on, your electromagnetic field begins to emit signals compatible with realities where this feeling is sustained, attracting events that confirm what you are already vibrating. The most transformative part is applying this gratitude to your most challenging experiences. This doesn't mean romanticizing suffering, but finding the hidden gift in adversity, the lesson, the strength, the clarity that emerged from it. When you give genuine thanks, you are not validating the trauma, you are transmuting its energy. It's like turning lead into gold. The negative charge is dissolved and returned to the field as fuel for expansion. From the quantum perspective, gratitude acts as an energetic seal that confirms to the universe, it is already done. There is no urgency, only certainty. And when the field detects this coherence, it responds not with delay, but with precision. That's when unexpected doors open, the right people appear, and synchronicities multiply. Not by chance, but as the inevitable consequence of who you have become. When you release a deep emotional charge, you are not just feeling lighter, you are returning to your system a vast amount of vital energy that was trapped. Energy that was once used to maintain defenses, resistances, and internal narratives becomes instantly available for creation, healing, and expansion. It's as if suddenly the engine of your energy field began operating at full power. On the biological level, this release reduces cortisol and adrenaline levels in the body, breaking cycles of chronic stress that drain vitality. Cells shift from survival mode back into growth mode, exactly as Bruce Lipton describes in his studies on epigenetics. This directly impacts mental clarity, creativity, and even your ability to make aligned decisions. In the quantum field, release works as a vibrational reset. By removing the static of unresolved emotions, your frequency becomes cleaner and more coherent, allowing the universe to respond more precisely to the signals you emit. This is why, right after such a release, it's common to notice a sharp increase in synchronicities. Opportunities, ideas, and encounters start to appear as if they had been waiting for you all along. This reorganization is not just symbolic, it is physical and measurable. Your body, your mind, and your electromagnetic field enter a state of alignment that creates a kind of window of expanded potential. In that moment, any intention you plant carries multiplied force because it is free from the emotional interferences that once distorted it. It's as if the universe were saying, "Now, finally, I can hear you clearly." After a deep emotional release, there is a critical period in which your energy field reaches a rare level of coherence. The first 48 hours. During this time, mind, body, and emotion are in resonance, emitting a clear and stable signal to the quantum field. It's as if you had crossed a vibrational doorway that remains open for a limited time, allowing new realities to anchor far more quickly. From a biological perspective, this state is marked by a drop in stress markers and an increase in neurotransmitters associated with well-being, such as serotonin and dopamine. Freed from the previous charge, the body begins to register this new emotional signature as a reference. It is in this moment that, as Bruce Lipton explains, the internal environment reshapes genetic expression and creates fertile ground for sustained change. On the energetic level, this maximum coherence drastically reduces any vibrational noise. The field around you behaves like a calm lake. Any new intention cast into this space generates clear waves without interference. This is why decisions made, visualizations practiced, and actions embodied during this period tend to have a disproportionately powerful impact on your timeline. The key is to act with conscious intention during these 48 hours. Avoid slipping back into old habits, engaging in conversations that reopen wounds, or entering environments that lower your frequency. Instead, cultivate thoughts, actions, and sensations that consolidate the newly created state. Think of them as the first seeds planted in fertile soil. What you cultivate now will grow deeper roots and bear longer-lasting fruit. When you release energy trapped in the past, you are not only healing emotionally, you are reconfiguring the entire structure that sustains your life. Bruce Lipton reminds us that biology changes immediately when perception changes. Every new interpretation you adopt sends different instructions to your cells, changing the body's chemistry and consequently the electromagnetic field you project. Neville Goddard reminds us that we are not prisoners of events, but of the internal state that keeps those events alive. When you dissolve the narrative that fueled the pattern, the past stops being an anchor and becomes a springboard. It's as if the story loses the ability to repeat itself because the energy that sustained it no longer exists. This is true freedom, not depending on external circumstances to feel peace, abundance, or love, but deciding internally what your frequency will be and sustaining it until the world reflects it back. You've always had this power. The difference is that now you know how to access and direct it. So anchor this decision in your field now. Tell yourself and write down, "I release and I receive." Not as a pretty phrase, but as a vibrational commitment to the life you choose to experience. Because from this moment on, your new reality has already begun to take shape.